online at tra.com or call.
Hey, welcome in. Just about ready to kick off a Tuesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. We were gone yesterday. We'll explain where we were and get into the news of the day momentarily. I hear the band warming up, and so it means we are ready to go. So thanks for joining us. Well, we are in a very contentious political environment right now, but we probably still would be because we have decided that we like living in our partisan silos, but we would be living in a much different contentious political environment today, I think, if what Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook, Meta, Instagram, WhatsApp, had come to the realization 4 years ago that he has now come to the realization of, and that is that he should not have allowed his platforms to become subservient to the Biden administration throughout the first few years of Biden's presidency and throughout the run-up to Biden's election in 2020. That's where we begin a Tuesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. Nice to be with you. I was out yesterday at a charity event, which I'll tell you more about a little bit later on in the show. But Mark Zuckerberg, in a letter on Monday to House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, two guys who are not politically aligned, basically admitted everything that you were told was a conspiracy theory. That Facebook, Meta, Instagram, WhatsApp did indeed make a huge mistake in not allowing the circulation of the Hunter Biden laptop story. Remember, X was owned by a very different owner then, Jack Dorsey, not Elon Musk. And when I say that we'd be in a much different contentious political environment, it would still be contentious, but Donald Trump would be wrapping up his second term in office if Mark Zuckerberg and Twitter had not done, and Zuckerberg's not with Twitter, but that's Jack Dorsey's thing then, now it's Elon Musk's. If social media had just let things play as they should have played, you know, freedom of speech, evaluate stories on your own merit, no foot on the scale, no accusation that everything that comes out that's critical of Democrats is Russian disinformation. If that had happened, Donald Trump would be finishing his second term in the White House right now. The number of people who did not know about Hunter Biden's foreign dealings, which by the day become more apparent through the work of James Comer, Jim Jordan, House Ways and Means Committee, I don't think Joe Biden would have won the election. As it was with the Democrats lying about the Hunter Biden laptop story with Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms, keeping it from much of the public knowing about it, with CBS, NBC, ABC, and other networks not reporting a word about it, with 51 former CIA, FBI, Department of Justice honchos lying about the fact that it had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. You're not supposed to hear the words all the earmarks. You're supposed to hear, oh, it's Russian disinformation. That is exactly what people thought. And so Joe Biden did not pay an electoral price in the polls in 2020 because he's corrupt. And his son is corrupt. And his family is corrupt. And the American electorate has since said, well, I wouldn't have voted for him if I'd have known that. And the reason they didn't know it is, of course, because Zuckerberg and others, Dorsey and others, were running interference for him. And by the way, Mark Zuckerberg spent about $500 million to get out the vote, right? Yes, to get out the vote. And we've seen 2,000 Mules, and we've seen other movies, and we've seen the headlines out of Arizona and out of Michigan and out of Pennsylvania and other places where there's certainly a lot of questions to be asked. I'll be as charitable as I can. Questions to be asked about the authenticity of the vote, except then I remember that the night of the election, before they could investigate anything, we were told it was the most secure election in history. So that is where we are. Now, what did Zuckerberg say in his letter to Jim Jordan? He said his goal moving forward was to, quote, be neutral and not play a role one way or the other. That's kind of an admission that in the past you were not neutral and you did play a role one way or the other. And we know which way the door always swings, right? It always swings in favor of Democrats. This time he said he does not want the appearance of playing a role and he will not be making political contributions. Well, gee, thanks for that, because you are the guy who gave Joe Biden the White House and you are the guy who now has us reasonably stuck with the reasonable possibility. It's not reasonable. It's possible. There's no reason to electing Kamala Harris president because she's been a terrible vice president. She won't articulate a single policy. Prices are up. The border is not secure, but I'm going to get serious about it. Yet don't blame me for anything that's happened. That's not reasonable, but it is a possibility. So now quoting from the letter, Mark Zuckerberg to Jim Jordan in the House Judiciary Committee. He said, in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly, it's like every word of this you could pause and stop on to emphasize how important it is. What have I told you guys? What have I told you? I have told you, yeah, inflation important, immigration important, international stability important. All three, very important. Domestic energy, fighting the trans nonsense, fighting the teachers' unions, advocating for school choice, all those things that are part of the Republican Party platform under Donald Trump, all important, all super important. Most important, protecting, preserving, and expanding, because it's shrunk, our freedom of speech. We don't do that, we don't have a country. We don't do that, we don't have a country. We did not have that in the run-up to the 2020 election because you were denied information that would have changed or at least given you the possibility to consider changing your vote. You did not have that. There was no freedom of speech. Hunter Biden laptop story, Russian disinformation. Mark Zuckerberg spending on get out the vote, ballot harvesting, all that other ugly and should be illegal nonsense. Didn't know anything about it then because it was the most secure election in history. Yeah, sure it was. Zuckerberg's letter. Senior officials. Again, I said every word you could pause over and go, wow, senior officials? Not just like some underling who was like operating without senior officials knowing. No, senior officials from the Biden administration. Okay, so that's like some political appointee. No, including the White House. Next word, repeatedly. So they did it often. Pressured. Repeatedly pressured our teams for months. Not once, not twice, months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire. Don't you dare joke about the boosters. People might not take it seriously enough, which means they might not do exactly what we tell them to do. This is an amazing admission of censorship from the highest levels of the United States government. Something like that 20 years ago would have set off alarm bells, and it would be all they were talking about all day long on CNN, on every major cable channel. It would lead to nightly news. Heads would roll. People find who's behind this. Impeachment proceedings would begin. No, it's just another day in paradise at the Biden administration with the president on vacation again. Mark Zuckerberg's letter says they couldn't even allow us to publish memes or jokes, humor and satire. And he says, from the top, from the Biden administration, they expressed, quote, a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Hey, let's have a conversation. Oh, the Democrats always want to have a conversation. Kamala Harris back in 2019 when she was running for president. And now none of that applies because, some anonymous campaign official on a Friday afternoon said, she no longer holds that position. Back then, she was more than willing to have the conversation about what? Ending the food pyramid. Oh, I think we should have that conversation. What about any other number of liberal crackpot ideas that were born into you when you were raised in Berkeley, California, from age newborn to 12? What about that? Oh, I think we should have the conversation. Except there is no conversation. The conversation is, hey, stop doing that. We're not going to do that. You don't agree with us? Oh, then we will send the power of government down to land hard on your head. That's the conversation. It's not a conversation. It's a dictation, which is what dictators do. But Trump's the dictator. Remember that. Try to keep your dictators straight. Try to keep your fascist state straight. Just what a bunch of idiots. And I could be talking about Harris and Biden, or I could be talking about, and I am talking about, people who are considering voting for them, including a lot of people in the media. It's so disappointing to me. Imagine giving your life to a profession that you turn out to realize is utterly and irrevocably corrupt. So Zuckerberg says, whenever we didn't agree, they were down our throat. But he does say, ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take the content down, and we own our decisions. So, thanks for not too much. He says, I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to any pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. Sure, now you are. Now that you gave us a failed administration and 40-year highs in inflation and insecurity on the world stage and a wide open border, gee, thanks. Thanks for the do-over. Thanks for the mulligan, Mark. Really appreciate it.
$45.44. One more time on the number, 380-208-4544. Get out of pain by pursuing healing at QC Kinetics.
Marriage is a sacred bond, a reflection of Christ's love for us. But every marriage faces its own unique set of challenges. What if there was a way to deepen your connection with your spouse, to understand each other better and grow closer together in faith? Focus on the Family has created a powerful resource to help you do just that. Introducing 9 Questions to Ask Your Spouse, a free PDF guide designed to spark meaningful conversations that can transform your relationship. Using the teachings of Jesus as a guide, these questions are crafted to help you and your spouse connect on a deeper emotional and spiritual level. It's time to take that next step in your marriage journey. Text marriage to 94878 to receive your free copy. That's marriage to 94878. Strengthen your bond today and let God bless your marriage for years to come. Text marriage to 94878.
New fuels are being sold at gasoline filling stations in certain locations. Today, you can buy gas with 15% ethanol, 30%, or even 85%. But these ethanol fuel blends are not best for your mower, chainsaw, or generator. I'm Chris Kaiser. president of the Outdoor Power Equipment Institute, to remind you to look before you pump. Only use gasoline that is E10 or less in your small engine equipment to keep it running strong. Get more information at lookbeforeyoupump.com.
I have 2 calls scheduled this afternoon. With those of you who have expressed an interest in becoming a patriotswitch.com member, you maybe are hearing more and more and more about the risks in our food supply and the risks of things that come in contact with our body that aren't food, but things that we ingest or at least put in our mouth for a little bit of time every single day. I'm talking about toothpaste and mouthwash, things that might impact our skin, our bodies, like deodorant or body lotion or laundry detergent or even cleaning products. So if you want healthy products, botanical, made from plants, the kind from a company that is privately owned by a family that's never paid a liability settlement to anyone because their products cannot harm anyone, then maybe that's why you'd be interested in patriotswitch.com products. Maybe it is because you want to take a bite out of woke capitalism and you would like to defund Planned Parenthood or the Human Rights Campaign or some other woke causes that you know are being funded by Target and Kroger and Procter & Gamble and big businesses that are taking your money and giving it away. There are many, many reasons to convert to patriotswitch.com products. I can explain them all to you. Leave your information so I can reach out. patriotswitch.com/Bruce, patriotswitch.com/Bruce. So Kamala Harris is ahead in the polls. She's not outside the margin of error, but she certainly has marshaled the forces that shape opinions in our country to overtake Donald Trump, who had comfortable leads in most of the swing states and was headed for a comfortable electoral college win. Will that change between now and the November 5th election? We don't know. It certainly could change. We saw on June the 27th how consequential a presidential debate can be, how catastrophic a presidential debate can be. And so we have a debate scheduled for September the 10th. Or do we? We did have, when Donald Trump and Joe Biden were the 2 candidates. Then Joe Biden proved that he was indeed brain dead and barely functioning. And so they very democratically knifed him in the back, pushed him off a cliff, and relegated him to apparently permanent vacation, even though he is still making decisions every day that theoretically prove he is leading the country and fulfilling his new role as George Washington as he auditions for a spot on Mount Rushmore. But Kamala Harris, who originally was like, I want to debate Donald Trump because he already agreed to debate me. And Trump's campaign is like, no, we didn't agree to debate you. We agreed to debate Joe Biden. And she's like, wow, are you afraid? No, we're not afraid. In fact, we would love to debate you more than the number of times that Joe Biden was scheduled to debate Donald Trump, because Biden's old and tired and you supposedly are so vibrant and so joy-filled and so full of vibes and brat. But now Kamala Harris is protesting after Trump agreed to debate her on the agreed upon previously date, because she doesn't like the terms that Biden and Trump agreed to. She does not want to be standing next to Donald Trump on stage because she will look small next to Donald Trump. Figuratively and literally will look small compared to him. She does not want there not to be any notes in the possession of the candidates. She wants to be able to refer to notes. Why would this be? Because she is a stupid person and she cannot retain information and she cannot trust herself to regurgitate information accurately. I was watching some audio yesterday of Kamala Harris during the pandemic, and it was quite demonstrable of her inability to retain numbers and to regurgitate numbers when she was talking about the number of people who died during the pandemic. Here it is. I found it. Treat yourself to this. Remember, we are a nation of 330 million people. 330 million people. You remember COVID, right? You remember COVID being really bad, right? A lot of people died during COVID, right? Did this many people die during COVID? You might say, well, that was an awkward edit, Bruce. No, it wasn't an awkward edit. It was two different cuts at two different places. She said over 200 million Americans died of COVID. 200 million. I would say to that they must all be living out by where I'm living, given the congestion in the traffic at Post Road and 33 in the morning, that all 200 million people must have died somewhere else. She is stupid. She is not stupid because she's black. She is not stupid because she is a woman. Those are coincidental to her stupidity. So of course she wants notes in front of her so she can keep 2 million straight from 200 million and billions and trillions separate. And finally, she wants the mics to be open. And the reason why she wants the mics to be open is because she wants Donald Trump to interrupt her for her inanity and stupidity so that she can say, Mr. President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. So she can make Trump look mean and nasty for interrupting her, for being not just the most liberal, but the most empty-headed candidate a major political party has ever run for not just president, but high office in this nation's history. She is a radical. She is a liar, but of course she is because she's a Democrat. And so now she's like saying, well, you know, if we're going to not stand up and if we're going to not, or if we're going to have to, if we're not going to be seated and we're not going to be able to refer to notes and we're not going to have the mics open, then, you know, I don't agree to this. She's got the debate on ABC, which ABC, oh, does she fear ABC? Well, she may, because she's ignorant. Is ABC carrying water for Kamala Harris? Well, I'll let you be the judge. Here's Tom Cotton, senator from Arkansas, on with Jonathan Karl of ABC over the weekend.
President Trump is going to draw a sharp contrast with Kamala Harris, who has supported things like decriminalizing illegal immigration or giving taxpayer-funded health insurance to illegal aliens or taking away health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans.
That is not her position now. She knows.
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
I mean, she says she no longer supports.
She has not said that.
For all.
She has not said that. Okay. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that.
Yeah, Kamala Harris has never said it. We have Kamala Harris saying she wants to take away people's guns with mandatory buybacks. We have Kamala Harris on tape saying that illegal aliens crossing the border should not be a crime. It should be a misdemeanor. We have her saying that she supports universal health care for everyone and we should not do private health insurance anymore. We have her on tape in her own words saying all of that 5 years ago. Now, Jonathan Karl, chief water carrier and bootlick for the Democrats, but he has a lot of help, says, it's no longer her position. And Tom Cotton accurately says, she has not said that. Aides have said that on Friday afternoon. Unnamed aides. So that later on, after she gets elected, she can say, I never said that. I don't know who said that. You don't have any record of who said that.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. A Texas federal judge hits the pause button on a Biden-Harris immigration initiative that made it much easier for non-citizens married to U.S. to gain legal status in the U.S. The Israeli military swooped in, described as a complex operation in the Gaza Strip.
His own making.
Right.
This issue is about a vanity project for this president.
Right.
And it is a problem of his own making.
Right.
And listen, when I travel this country, Folks have plenty enough problems that they need their president to focus on,
You know what?
instead of a wall that, by the way, because I was a prosecutor for many years, including.
You are such a despicable person.
Americans now have more credit card debt than any time in history, owing a staggering $1.3 trillion collectively. What happens when most people can't pay their bills? Well, the U.S. economy is clearly moving into uncertain territory. That's why more Christians are turning to gold just for their peace of mind. I'm Lance Wallnow, Christian news analyst with a 30-year track record of predicting trends. The Bible tells us that gold is a time-tested store of value that can protect your God-given assets through almost anything, including America's historic debt bubble. And here's the good news. You can own gold for your 401k or IRA. My friends at Birch Gold Group can help you buy gold for your retirement account, tax-free and penalty-free. To learn more, text the word FAITH to 989898 for an info kit from Birch Gold that's entirely free, zero cost or obligation. Text that next step right now and take it. Text FAITH to the number 989898 for your free info kit. That's FAITH to 98.
He's one of the top 10 radio hosts in the country. He never varnishes his opinions. And now more than ever, you need to spend part of your day with a healthy dose of the Mike Gallagher Show. Weekday mornings from 9 to 11 on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Americans now have more credit card debt than any time in history, owing a staggering $1.3 trillion collectively. What happens when most people can't pay their bills? Well, the U.S. economy is clearly moving into uncertain territory. That's why more Christians are turning to gold just for their peace of mind. I'm Lance Wallnow, Christian news analyst with a 30-year track record of predicting trends. The Bible tells us that gold is a time-tested store of value that can protect your God-given assets through almost anything, including America's historic debt bubble. And here's the good news. You can own gold for your 401k or IRA. My friends at Birch Gold Group can help you buy gold for your retirement account, tax-free and penalty-free. To learn more, text the word FAITH to 989898 for an info kit from Birch Gold that's entirely free, zero cost or obligation. Text that next step right now and take it. Text FAITH to the number 989898 for your free info kit. That's FAITH to 989898.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds of conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Sebastian Gorka, weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, followed by Stacey Washington at 5. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo. News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM, The Answer, anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 98.9theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers. Tune in or iHeart.
Well, it's happening Friday, and it's a big deal to a lot of friends of mine. I think the last count was 35 men from my church getting together on Friday night to do what? Go to a high school football game? No. Something more important, they are going to see the brand new movie Reagan, which hits the theaters on Friday night. Now, they bought their tickets, but if you would like to get some free tickets, well, you are in luck, because if you go to 9890answer.com, you can enter our contest that will give one lucky winner a free movie screening of the movie Reagan with up to 100 guests. You better start making friends if you plan on winning that, or maybe you have 100 friends. If you do, congratulations to you. Also, we will be giving away 10 4-packs of tickets to see the movie Reagan and 50 2-packs of tickets to see the movie that stars Dennis Quaid and Penelope Ann Miller. You can enter to win today at 9890answer.com. That is 9890answer.com. Well, I sure hope Andy Ginther and Zach Klein and Shayla Favor and all the other Columbus Democrats had a big time at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago while the city's data breach continues to go unsolved and unresolved. Story in the Dispatch today by Bill Bush, who did a deep dive, and you can file this one under "It seemed like a great idea at the time." It begins. In December 2019, the city of Columbus made major changes to its computer operations, going to a hyper-converged infrastructure, or HCI system, an investment that paves the way for the future, according to a Computer Trade Journal article that focused on Columbus's chief technology officer, Sam Orth. There's a name we haven't heard since the beginning of this data breach that has at least 500,000 Central Ohioans wondering where their information is out there on the dark web, and whether it's there because they got a traffic ticket, went to a city council meeting, paid their city water bill, got a stop sign violation or a speeding ticket. This is interesting to me because, remember, I told you that a conversation with a firefighter who relayed to me that an FBI expert went to City Hall to help them with their data breach, and the FBI expert came back and spoke to Columbus firefighters and said this was not a sophisticated system at all. He probably overstated it, but he said a fourth grader could have hacked into it. But here's the important part, and this goes back to the hyper-converged infrastructure, where they consolidated everything under one supposedly protective umbrella. The FBI expert told my firefighter friend that once the hackers were inside the Columbus system, there was nothing there to stop them from going from, oh, look, we can get here and here and here and here and here, municipal court, and we can get to the crime victims, and we can get to this, and we can get to utility bill payments, and we can get to people at City Hall. They could go anywhere they wanted to go after they got in once. And this, you could file under unfortunate circumstance that could not have been seen on the horizon. Or you could say, hey, they had the same exact problem in Atlanta in 2018. They had the same exact problem in Singapore, where all their health information was hacked in 2018. And they had the exact same problem in Baltimore in 2019, where all of those places had gone to the exact same hyper-converged infrastructure that Columbus went to in December of 2019. Now, Mr. Orth, the chief technology officer of the city, was extolling the virtues of this move by the city in State Tech magazine in 2021. Again, this all due to Bill Bush's reporting in the Columbus Dispatch. Mr. Orth is quoted in this article as saying, what it does is put everything into one integrated system. So instead of having to manage the server and storage environments separately, you do it all through a single pane of glass. Well, that's an unfortunate metaphor now that the glass has been broken and everything on the inside of the glass is out there on the dark web. Of course, the mayor's office will not say anything about this because of an ongoing criminal investigation. Bill Bush says industry experts warn that when this data is consolidated, if not done carefully, it can create massive security risks, you think. You are basically putting all your cyber eggs into one cyber basket. And if that basket gets hacked, you are in a lot of trouble. Yes. And that is the reality that 500,000 Central Ohioans are living with. And my guess is that number is going to go much higher. Tom Holt, a professor in the School of Criminal Justice at Michigan State University, specializing in cybercrime and cybersecurity, tells the Dispatch the fact that so much diverse city data and systems appear to have been simultaneously hacked could be a function of the infrastructure being managed through a single point. Yes, they were bragging about it when they did it 5 years ago. And the cyber guy from MSU says, yeah, if you can compromise that one point, then you can get into all the areas that are managed within it, which goes back to my fireman friend who talked to his FBI investigator who came over to the city of Columbus and went, wow, where are the stop signs once you were in here? Where are the firewalls? Where are the protective layers? Non-existent. Now, they still do not know how this happened. And they do not eliminate the possibility that it might have been a disgruntled current or former employee. Well, that'll be delicious if they ever find that out. As I said, this has happened to many cities before: Atlanta, Baltimore, Singapore. But you'll be glad to know that if you think Columbus had an incompetent guy, Sam Orth, on the case, you will perhaps be glad to know that he was listed as a top 25 doer, dreamer, and driver by Government Technology Weekly last spring. Oh, joy, right? Government Technology Weekly. The Democrats thought Sam Orth was doing a fantastic job, and they named him a top 25. And has there ever been a more empty, nonsensical, yet flowery title than doer, dreamer, or driver? Doer? Not so much. Dreamer? Probably. Driver of dysfunction? Yes. So there you go. That's your Columbus data breach update today. As for your crime update, this afternoon, you remember the very scary tale of the woman who was delivering pizzas at Donato's in the Short North. Went inside to get the pizzas, left her twin sons, 5-month-old, in the back of her car in December of 2022. And because it's Columbus, Ohio, somebody came along and stole the car. This time it was not a juvenile. It was 26-year-old Nala Jackson, who stole the car with twins Kason and Kyer Thomas inside. One of the twins was found the next morning at the Dayton airport, sitting and buckled in his car seat outside in the elements. The other youngster was found in Indianapolis a few days later, dehydrated, but mostly healthy. Now, the tragic turn of that was by the end of January, one of the twins died unexpectedly, ruled one of those inexplicable sudden infant deaths by the Franklin County Coroner's Office, determined to be unrelated to the kidnapping. What is Nala Jackson going to get for kidnapping 2 young boys, even unwittingly, in a car she stole from the Short North? Federal prosecutors and Jackson's attorneys are expected to recommend a 20-year prison sentence. A 20-year prison sentence. So she will no longer be homeless anymore. Now, finally, Columbus City Schools meeting today, and the plan to close 9 buildings in the district appears to be dead. That, according to the rogue member of the Columbus City School Board, who I'm not sure can withstand the pressure on him and remain on the Columbus City School Board much longer, the young kid, Brandon Simmons. Brandon Simmons, who in May went not intentionally, quite unintentionally public with a plan to confound those who would oppose the board on closing 9 buildings in the district. Mr. Simmons had a plan. And the plan was to turn the unions against each other at every turn, the service employees union and the teachers union. Do everything you can to turn the 2 unions against each other so they're not fighting against the board. To change the location of meetings at the last minute, which is obviously not allowed by Ohio law. And he is now, for his trouble, been stripped of all his committee assignments and holding press conferences that the school board says are not sanctioned by the school board. Well, they aren't. I mean, he doesn't speak for the board, but he says his fellow school board members are feckless and that they lack the political will to close buildings. He now says the buildings will not close, that the work of the task force is dead. They just will not admit it. He advocates building a new high school. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Close 9 buildings and build a new high school. I mean, in the world of Columbus City Schools, where they never run out of, they never have enough money. $100 million in the last levy. That probably makes sense. But we'll see what happens to Mr. Simmons. And quite likely, all the buildings will remain open.
Afternoon, partly sunny. High today at 98. Clear to partly cloudy tonight. A thunderstorm late low 73. Partly sunny, hot day tomorrow. Thunderstorm for the afternoon. Could see some damaging wind with that. The high 94. And then sunny, warm, and humid for Thursday. High Thursday at 89. Increasing cloudiness. It'll be a hot day Friday. A thunderstorm in the afternoon. The high Friday at 96. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9.
Everyone can take. And Facebook responded yesterday after the press briefing. They say that is really important. It shows the lengths that the Biden administration went. And to see Mr. Zuckerberg acknowledging this is really.
Well, I certainly hope so, Dana. Good to be with you. And I mean, I think it's a huge step forward. Directors and other. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think it's important to remember did the same thing at Twitter. Censor is so strong. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge concern. I mean, you may work so they can claim it's not covered by the First Amendment.
Will she sit down with the media in a one-on-one capacity and answer? When will she sit down with the media in a one-on-one capacity and answer our questions?
I think she'll sit down on her time. Look, as you mentioned, this was a truncated. We have.
Timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484, 800-839-8484, 800-839-8484.
Americans now have more credit card debt than any time in history, owing a staggering $1.3 trillion collectively. What happens when most people can't pay their bills? Well, the U.S. economy is clearly moving into uncertain territory. That's why more Christians are turning to gold just for their peace of mind. I'm Lance Wallman, Christian news analyst with a 30-year track record of predicting trends. The Bible tells us that gold is a time-tested store of value that can protect your God-given assets through almost anything, including America's historic debt bubble. And here's the good news. You can own gold for your 401k or IRA. My friends at Birch Gold Group can help you buy gold for your retirement account, tax-free and penalty-free. To learn more, text the word FAITH to 989898 for an info kit from Birch Gold that's entirely free, zero cost or obligation. Text that next step right now and take it. Text FAITH to the number 989898 for your free info kit. That's FAITH to 989898.
If you're a business owner and a listener to this station, you might not realize that the conservative news and hot content that you enjoy is advertiser supported. Our loyal audience loves to do business with the advertisers who make our programming possible. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some advertisers who avoid us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our listeners are eager to support advertisers who support our conservative programming. Join the successful companies who reach customers who care about this programming. Become a part of making a difference in the lives of people who listen and who are passionate about supporting the great family of advertisers who are part of this station. It's truly a perfect match for you and for them.
To learn how to reach our audience with your business's message and support this station, contact Carolyn Cassidy at 614-318-0401 or click on the Advertise With Us banner at 989theanswer.com. That's 989theanswer.com.
Well, I understand things are tight economically. They are for everyone. Bidenomics might be working for the rich people, but it is definitely not working for you. The $13,000 gas and groceries giveaway is a sweepstakes we offer here at The Answer to help you out with some of those expenses on some of those things that don't count in the inflation numbers. I mean, you know, who needs food and who needs gas? Oh, you do? Really? Well, maybe you could use a little bit of extra cash to help foot the bill. The government doesn't count that money, but you, of course, do. The grand prize would be $10,000 in gas and groceries for a year. That's a national prize. 4 other winners will receive between $500 and $1,000 in gas and groceries. You can enter once each day between now and September and complete optional activities to earn bonus entries to increase your opportunity to win. So enter today at 989theanswer.com, 989theanswer.com. The contest, $13,000 in gas and groceries, continues through September 30th. Hugh Hewitt was making the point over and over and over again today that America does not know Kamala Harris. Doesn't Hugh know that she grew up middle class and that she worked at McDonald's I guess he's not falling for the garbage that is being fed to him by the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris, in fact, grew up in Berkeley, California, which I used to work with a gentleman who covered college football nationally. He was it was Chris Spiel. Okay, so Chris used to travel once in a while to Berkeley, California, and we used to have a joke. How many people were hanging out at the trees in Berkeley on your trip to the Cal campus for the football game on Saturday, Chris? So that people couldn't cut down the trees, so they couldn't expand the campus or build a building. That is the environment where Kamala Harris grew up. Her parents were both PhDs, one at Stanford, I think the other at Cal Berkeley. Then she moved to Montreal and lived there in a high-rise apartment. Canada, not exactly, the duplicate of the United States when it comes to freedom and liberty. But that is a cornerstone of the Harris campaign. Freedom, right? Freedom. It's all freedom. It's a freedom campaign. Besides, it's a joy campaign and it's a vibes campaign, but it's first and foremost a freedom campaign. So I've been thinking a lot about freedom and what it is and what it isn't. And what freedom is not is what Democrats have molded and misshapen it into being. I just took the opportunity to write down a few things that the Democrats say are consequential to Kamala Harris's election to the White House on freedom grounds, right? On freedom grounds. Don't know if it's most important, but reproductive freedom, right? Reproductive freedom, bodily autonomy. It's another way of saying freedom, autonomy, freedom. Free to have other people make medical decisions about your body. But that freedom, of course, abortion at any point in a pregnancy does not afford any freedom to the life of the as yet unborn child, or even in Tim Walz's Minnesota, to the actual born child. After an abortion, Tim Walz is perfectly fine. In fact, it's happened 5 times where a child who survived an abortion procedure was allowed to die because, hey, freedom, right? The freedom to be who you are, the freedom to love who you love, the freedom to, it's not nearly as embraceable as the freedom to love who you love and the freedom to be who you are, the freedom to take your child away from you if you are a parent and your child tells you, you tell me I'm a boy, you tell me I'm a girl, but I actually think I'm something different. And I would like to take drugs that permanently alter my DNA, or I would like to just stop with the delay and cut off my genitals and become the other sex, or, what passes for it. That, according to Democrats, is freedom to be who you are and to love who you love. We have a little thing on the Constitution called the Second Amendment, and tells you to keep and bear arms. The Democrats would like to have you give them your guns so that you can say, wait a minute, it sounds like an intrusion on my freedom. No, you're looking at this all wrong. When they take away your guns, then you will be spared the freedom of being shot. See, that's actually their position. You should not have to fear being shot in America. Well, could you maybe lower that possibility by actually punishing criminals for crimes? Or here's an idea, crazy though it may be, keep the illegal aliens out of the country? No, we're just going to take away your guns and then you'll be free from the possibility of being shot. At least by yourself. Probably not by the aliens who get their guns from the cartels, and probably not by criminals in the inner city who, scallywags that they are, always seem to come up with guns somehow, some way. But you will not be in danger anymore. You will have the freedom of not being shot by your own gun while you are cleaning it. Freedom of misinformation works the same way. See, freedom of not being shot by your own gun is a way they can take away the Second Amendment. freeing you from mind-bending misinformation like, hey, did you know that the COVID-19 vaccine does not keep you from spreading COVID? That's misinformation. Did you know that getting the COVID-19 vaccine or the 12th booster will not keep you from getting COVID? That's misinformation. Did you know that Hunter Biden was consorting with enemies of America and taking bags of cash at the behest of his father and his uncle to fatten the Biden crime family bank accounts? That's misinformation. So in the same way they're going to free you from being shot by your own gun by taking your gun and giving you the freedom of not being shot by it, they're going to free you from misinformation by taking away your right to speak freely. See how that works? It's a great solution. Freedom to take away your free speech and freedom to take away your gun. And then finally, you say, I kind of like my big old truck. I kind of like my gas guzzling SUV, or I like my sports car. I like my BMW. I like my mid-sized sedan that gets me here and there. And I find there's plenty of places along the highway where I can pull off and get a full tank of gas and go where I want to go. And I'm on my way quickly. I'm not bothering anybody except you really are. And you're just too stupid to know that you are killing the climate. And you are killing everyone around you. And so they are going to give you the freedom from climate peril. And they're going to end gas engines. And they're going to end carbon emissions. And they are going to end cattle because of their, to keep it as nice as I can, gaseous emissions. And speaking of gas, they're going to take away your gas stove. And how long will it be before we deem that air conditioning on what is forecast to be a 96 or 98 degree day in Columbus, Ohio, is also adding to the climate peril? Have you gone to Europe at any point? You tried to find an air-conditioned place in Europe like every place in America is air-conditioned? No, because they just don't have as much freedom as we have. So they're going to free you from climate peril. Which brings me to my conclusion, which is Republicans view freedom as government getting out of your lives, and you, unless you are harming other people, being allowed to do whatever you want to do. But Democrats view freedom as agreeing with what we are in favor of. That is the Democratic definition of freedom. If you agree with us on what we're in favor of, then we are aligned perfectly when it comes to freedom. But if you disagree with what we say is best for you, well, then you are an extremist and you must be stopped.
When will the danger become crystal clear? When you read another statistic? When it happens to your neighbor? When your family is shattered? When will you finally take action? Don't let another family's life fall to pieces due to the dangers of unsafe railroad crossings. Report bad railroad crossings at angelsontrack.org. That's angelsontrack.org. Because bad crossings kill good drivers. Sponsored by Angels on Track, aired by OAB and the station.
Planning for retirement is no small task. If you don't know where to start, join Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group every Saturday at 10 and 2 for Retire Ready Ohio. Rodney shares helpful tips and strategies that just might change the course of your retirement. Listen every Saturday at 10 and 2 to Retire Ready Ohio with Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group. The firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Peters Wealth Group, a state-registered investment advisor.
Find us at 989theanswer.com. Download our apps. Stream us 24/7. WTOH and WTOH HD1, Upper Arlington, Columbus.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The summer heat is relentless. National Weather Service meteorologist Josh Wise says today is going to be quite hot across the Ohio Valley, upper Midwest, into parts of the Tennessee Valley, and then the Mid-Atlantic. It says rain is in the forecast for parts of the country through the week.
That could cause some excessive rainfall problems in different parts of the country. No real strongly no real strong signals for any focused heavy rainfall, but certainly some regions could see some problematic rain on today across the upper Midwest, and that shifts into the mid-Atlantic over the next couple of days.
Meteorologist Josh Weiss. American consumers felt more confident in August. The Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index rose to 103.3.
Hey, that'll do it for hour number 1 of the Hooley Show. Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys joining us. Hope you have a great day. You can tune to the Bruce Hooley Show Facebook page for hour number 2, or you can tune to the 989 The Answer Facebook page. I will release snippets of the hour that you just listened to later on today on social media, and maybe snippets of hour number 2 as well. But I hope you have a great day, and hope God blesses your life in a rich way as he has mine. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
GOP nominee understands the grave